What's up, guys? Excuse me. I can get a sip of coffee here. Oh, that's better. I'll leave it in. I won't edit that out because I don't do that shit. Um, so you are a late intermediate, uh, advanced lifter, and you've had a great, sustained 2-3 year bulk. You want to trim a little bit of that fat off now. Uh, but you're an ego-driven lifter. I'm an ego-driven lifter. I've said this before. I've said this a bunch of times. Um, Powerlifting is ego lifting. I thrive on PRs, on setting new one rep maxes, uh, new volume PRs, things like that, and lifting more than a lot of other people. That's just what drives me. It is what it is. Judge me for it or not. That's take it or leave it. That's where I am. Um, and there's a lot of other people like that, and it is a-okay to be an ego-driven lifter. Don't be a dickhead to other people. Be cognizant of other people. Uh, help other people where you can. Get ideas from other people. I am friends and share ideas with a lot of people who don't lift as much as me. Like, I don't think I'm a better person than them because I lift more than them, but I do. That's something that drives me internally, is lifting more weights than even some of my friends. So it's okay to be that. If that's what drives you, that is okay. Use that fucking driver and go. Like I said, just don't be a fucking dickhead about it. But anyway, 2 minutes in, I haven't even got to the fucking point. So that's where you're at now. You've built up this immense strength, and you want to shed a little bit of weight, and you're worried. Your top end numbers are going to drop. It's once you're beyond that intermediate stage. When you cut some weight, numbers are going to drop a little bit. Typically, for a power lifter, squats and bench are affected the most, and deadlift is affected the least. However, it will still be affected. There may be a net positive early on, but when you get deeper into the cut, it's likely that you're going to lose strength there as well too. And you're not going to lose a fuck ton of muscle, so don't be super scared about it. As long as you're eating adequate protein and training, you're going to retain a lot of muscle. You're going to lose some muscle tissue. It's just not enough to really be worried about. And of course, the reason why squats and bench are affected the most is because there's going to be some leverage loss from the tissue loss, losing some fat. Whereas your leverages, depending upon where you're at, may improve on deadlift. And initially, that first week or two of the cut, you drop some water weight and haven't lost any tissue yet. Excuse me. And you're able to get in a better starting position on deadlift. You may hit a one rep max PR in that initial phase of your cut, just due to being able to get in a good position. But anyway, so you're going to lose some strength. You're going to lose some muscle tissue. You're going to lose, tissue overall. And what a lot of people don't talk about is just the extra energy and oomph and drive, if you will, when you're in a caloric surplus, when your body's in an anabolic state. That's not going to be there no more either. So how do you mentally deal with this if you are this ego-driven lifter who thrives on getting stronger, and your main lifts, you're probably not going to get stronger right now. So the main thing I would try to do is variations that you're not really very experienced with, preferably some that apply to whatever your main goals are in general. So if you haven't front squatted at all in the last year and now you're gonna go on a cut, maybe it's time to reintroduce front squats. Pick a variation. You haven't overhead pressed recently, throw those back in. RDLs, etc. There's all kinds of fucking variations out there that are applicable to not only general strength, but specifically to powerlifting lifts if you're a power lifter. And especially if you haven't reached into that well of a specific variation in a while, go back to it and just progress it like your power lifts. And you'll find in most cases that even while you're cutting, while you're losing some tissue, you're going to get those neural adaptations because you haven't done it in forever, and you're going to be able to progress that lift. And it's something where you'll be able to just train it like you train your typical power lifts and use those progressions. I would err on the side of safety and maybe not push it as hard, because you're not in that anabolic state. And while you are making these neural adaptations, and whatnot, and strengthening weaknesses potentially, um, you're still more susceptible to getting hurt while you're in a caloric deficit. So maybe, if the heavier weights and your form starts to wane a little bit, you might want to stay away from those. But you should easily be able to progress, your 5 reps, your 7s, your 10s, things like that, like they're a power lift in off season, um, and be hitting volume PRs like that. And it'll help the old ego out while you're cutting weight. You'll feel like you're still getting stronger. You are getting stronger. You're setting yourself up for your other lifts to be stronger when you go back to them as well. And it's something too when you reintroduce calories, maybe even go into a maintenance phase or something like that, or if you jump right back into a bulk. Uh, you've put in all this work in a caloric deficit and improved these variant lifts over the last however long you cut, 3 months, whatever, 6 months, maybe you took a fucking extremely long cut. And when you add calories back, then these lifts that you've been working on at a deficit that you've gotten stronger at, now they're just going to absolutely fucking explode because you've got the calories back, you're back in an anabolic state, and you will absolutely demolish new PRs on these lifts. And in getting stronger in these accessory lifts, preferably there's something applicable to, again, your main lifts, your main goals, and or weaknesses you have on your main lifts and your main goals. And then when you go back to your main ones, and pushing those hard again, I'm not saying completely drop them. You can do them. They're, your de facto accessory lift during this time. So you don't want to lose all of your skill that you've acquired. So you've been doing those, and now after you've blown up your weaknesses through a deficit and then fucking exploded them into new PRs when you introduced your calories back. Now when you flip-flop them and your main goals, your main lifts are back to being your first and main focus because you have your calories back, they're going to explode again as well. And this is going to be a pretty good recipe for sustained long-term gains. So, I don't like cutting. I don't like seeing my lifts go down. I don't like feeling weaker. So this is something kind of passed on to you guys when you're cutting weight. Again, when you're beyond that intermediate level, and especially if you're an ego-driven lifter. This can work for everybody, but I know those of us, and I'm speaking, personally from the heart, that it's hard to get motivated sometimes when you can't see on paper or on video, whatever, that you are indeed getting stronger, and that's, one of your main motivators. So, hope this helps you guys. Peace!